All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of North Kawarth Township Council on this crisp November 4th morning. Welcome to folks that are joining us in real time. There's a bunch of folks that we have online today. And also welcome to folks that may be watching this meeting at a later date and time, because as everybody knows by now, we record our meetings and we upload them to our YouTube channel. So just be reminded that any comments, any opinions that are expressed during this meeting will be recorded. And before we get into the business of our meeting, council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular, our neighbors from Kawarth Anishinaabe and Curve Lake First Nations. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we practice this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations, thoughtful collaboration, and wise decision-making in our service to this community. Okay, and I would ask if there's any member that has a pecuniary interest with any of the matters before us. If so, you need to declare it, and I don't see any, so we'll move on. Adoption of the agenda. I believe there was an addendum. We did add a planning report. Connie, did you want to just identify that to make sure I do it right?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it was to include a staff report from the municipal planning consultant regarding official plan amendment 15OP-25009.
Perfect. Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended, please? Moved by Jim O'Shea, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? The agenda has been approved. And without further ado, I'm going to declare that we are going into a statutory public hearing. And the purpose of today's hearing is we are hosting the hearing for an official plan amendment application. This is coming from the county of Peterborough. These public hearings provide opportunities for folks to request relief from planning rules and regulations. This one specifically for our official plan. And it's also an opportunity for members of the public to provide comment on those requests for relief from those rules. So this is a little bit different because it is under the county jurisdiction. So I'm going to turn it over to the county reps here to take us through this application and put in any spiel that I might have missed in terms of the appeal periods or anything like that. It's a little bit different, as I said, than what we usually do, but I see Andrew Marshall has popped up on the screen. Good morning, welcome, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Just as a matter of, so do you want me to share my screen with any maps, or just want me to speak to it verbally to start?
You're welcome to share your screen. I think
okay,
that would be great.
Just to provide some context before I start, 1 second.
Absolutely.
I'm used to using Teams, so I can't share apparently right now. Send a request to share. I just had to send a request to share. Okay, I will share. Where is it? There it is. Okay, hopefully you can see that.
You see that you start sharing. Yep. There we go.
Okay, great. Just to provide some context as to where the property is. So good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. My name is Andrew Marshall. I'm a planner with the County of Peterborough. I'm joined today by my colleague, Melanie Menon, who is a senior planner. I also don't see him on here, but hopefully Terry Lambshead from Trent Lakes is here as the county's public hearing representative on planning matters. So today at this meeting, we are considering an application submitted to the county for an amendment to the official plan, and more specifically, the local component of the county OP, which contains land use policies for the township of North Kawartha. We received the application on June 30th from EcoU Consulting on behalf of the owner, Gord Tucker, and it is to permit the creation of 2 new residential lots, as well as a lot addition to the lands to the south. I will pull up another map in a second. And this requires amending the severance provisions of the county official plan, which limits the landowner to 2 severances from a property. And there were 2 severances previously granted in the 1990s. So the county is the approval authority for amendments for the official plan. So this amendment would allow for the severance of the creation of the 2 new residential lots, as well as the severance for the lot addition to the land to the south. We've also received the severance applications for the lots and the lot addition, And a zoning bylaw amendment was submitted concurrently to the township to amend the zoning bylaw to allow this as well. In support of the application, the applicant submitted a planning justification report, and the Planning Act requires that at least one public meeting be held for the official plan and zoning bylaw amendments in order to provide the public with information on the proposed amendments and to solicit their input. When the applications are processed concurrently, one public meeting is held for both applications, and that is the case this morning. As for agency and public comments, the prescribed agencies were circulated for their input, and notice was mailed out and posted as well as signage on the property. Comments to date have been received from County Public Works, the School Board, Hydro One, Ambridge, and Alderville First Nation. No objections have been received, as well no submissions or comments have been received as of yet from members of the public. So the next step in this process is that we are looking to Township Council for a recommendation on the official plan amendment. And once this is received, we will prepare the County Council's a report for County Council's consideration, a report with the recommendations regarding this proposal, taking into account the relevant municipal OP and provincial policies, as well as the agency and public comments. When a county council decision has been made, a notice of decision will be provided in accordance with the Planning Act, and that decision will be final if there are no appeals within 20 days. Lastly, note that if any members of the public wishes to receive a notice of decision, then a written request must be made to the county, and I can provide them with the email address. Email address is planning@ptbocounty.ca, or they can mail it to 470 Water Street, Peterborough, K9H3M3. So here's a map showing the location. I'll zoom out a bit just to provide some context. So it's on Jack Lake Road, just south of Apsley. And it's this property here. I'll pull up another map in a second that shows the severances, but more or less they like to create two severances, one approximately here and one here, and then sever off some land here to add to the property to the south and west. So I will stop sharing this screen and we'll share another screen for you to actually see the proposal. One second, just trying to pull that up here. Where is it? There we go. So there is the proposal there. So as you can see, there'll be a retained lot up here, a severed lot there, severed lot here. This will be severed and then added to the property to the south. That's the end of my report. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, thank you for that, Andrew. And yes, we do have a report here from our planning consultant as well, with some recommendations as well. But before I get to that, I'm just going to ask, because this is the public hearing, if there's anybody in attendance that would like to speak on this application. And just confirming that you did not receive any written submissions at the county level, and I don't believe we received any written submissions here at the township level either on this.
That is correct. Nothing has been received thus far.
Okay. All right. Is there anybody online that would like to speak on this? If so, just raise your little electronic hand or turn on your video. And I'm not seeing any indication here. Just let me scroll through to make sure we're not missing anyone. Okay, well then I'm going to turn it over to members of council if you've got any questions or comments on this at all. Jim.
Andrew, you said that there was one meeting for both the zone amendment and the OP. And
yes.
Our consultant says that we have to have another meeting to rezone the properties to rural residential. That can't be done today?
Well, this is the public meeting that can be covered off for both applications. There may be a separate meeting of council to go over the zoning bylaw amendment application.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
It'll still come back to us, and as a condition of OP, or like we have things that come back to us as conditions of consent, right? So, okay. Anybody else? Any questions or comments? And Just to review, the report from our planning consultant says that the recommendation is that we receive the planning report as prepared by the township's senior planning consultant, and that council recommend approval of the official plan amendment application 15 OP-25009 to Peterborough County Council, subject to the condition identified in the closing of this report. And that condition states that, let me get back up there, again, that a zoning bylaw amendment be submitted to rezone the severed parcels from the rural zone to the rural residential zone to the satisfaction of the township of North Kawartha.
Mhm.
Right, so that is the condition there. So if there's no questions or comments, then I'm looking for a motion.
Move the recommendation.
Okay, so those recommendations have been moved, seconded by Colin. All those in favor? That's been approved, and then I guess maybe just a motion to receive the presentation from Andrew Marshall from the county. Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? That is approved as well. All right, well, that was pretty straightforward.
Okay,
Thanks, Andrew.
thank you very much. 10 minutes, great.
Okay.
All right. Have a great morning,
care.
everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks.
Okay, and with that, I'm going to declare that we are out of statutory public hearing, and we will go on with the rest of our meeting. Next up, Peterborough County report, no report as of yet. Our county council meeting is tomorrow, and our first budget meeting for county council is on Thursday, so we'll have lots to report next time around. Okay, so with that, Crowe Valley.
So the GM negotiations are continuing. I'm expecting them to wrap very soon, but I don't want to give too much detail in a public meeting at this point. But the bigger news would be last Friday. The province announced that they're going to be going from 36 conservation authorities down to 7. They'll also be creating a new sort of provincial oversight agency that will be managing the 7. The goals are for faster standardized permitting. One thing that may be a benefit for the Crowe Valley area is they say that they're trying to get more even resourcing across the province. And that has always been a struggle of Crowe Valley, is the tax base is nowhere near that of their neighbors and larger conservation authorities. They've insisted that there'll be no job losses. People understandably have concerns that there's also going to be a loss of local decision making. We're obviously not going to have as many local voices on these boards as we do right now. And there's concerns about potential risk of more environmental protections being degraded and increased flood hazard, but really we don't have enough information about the path that they want to take. They didn't really state any specific goals or targets that they want to meet or how they're planning on changing it. It was a very surface level announcement, but I expect more information will come out shortly.
Do you have any idea as to where we might end up with the merge? Like, there was the discussion at the time, it's the Trent. What's the conservation authority below it?
So there would have been, there's the Trent source water protection.
Yeah,
And there is a group for that, but there's more than 7 source water protection groups in the province. So that would have been one of the assumed paths that they would take, would have been grouping it up with those that are already meeting together.
Yeah.
But the numbers don't line up, so it's difficult to know exactly how they're going to, whether they'll combine some of those source water areas. But
okay. Just wait and see.
Yeah.
All right.
Boy, that's quite an announcement, eh?
it is, and I'll just throw this in here because I find it very frustrating. The Friday before the announcement was canceled, there was technical difficulties with the chat room that they had set up in the video meeting. And then rather than announcing it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they wait until Friday again, when news doesn't travel as well. And it's a good time to bury it. And Friday again, we get the announcement.
Yeah. No, we were all, yeah.
So sometimes the cynicism is justified.
We'll announce it right now when it's game 6 of the World Series coming up, right? Yeah, it'll get a lot of traction. Okay, well, thanks for the report. We'll look forward to hearing more details in the future. A motion to receive Colin's report. Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim Whalen. All those in favor? That has been received, and adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting that was held on October 21st. Can I have a motion to adopt those minutes, please, if there are no errors or omissions? Moved by Jim O'Shea, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? Those have been adopted. Consent agenda. I didn't receive any notice from anyone that wanted to pull anything out. So if that's the case, can I have a motion to receive the consent agenda? Moved by Jim Whalen, seconded by Colin. All those in favor? That's been received. And boom, we are all ready to staff reports requiring action. First up, we have Gary Giraldi. Good morning, Gary. Welcome, and talk to us about the snowmobile trail map at the community center.
Morning, Madam Mayor and Council. Before you is a report on a request from the Paudash Trailblazers Club for a snowmobile trail map at the NKCC. I think there's a map there that shows where this trail map will go. And again, they have these trail maps throughout the trail system. They will blow up in there, the trail network in and around Apsley. We are recommending this request. It's not going to be in any way of where we keep the snow in the wintertime for public works. It was reviewed with Jason and Matt as well. And then furthermore, if approval is needed from the county regarding the county road, or if a building permit is required, the club will incur all those costs.
Okay, Jim.
Move the recommendation.
Okay, that was fast. Seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? That's approved. All right, your next one, Gary.
So the next one is the non-eligible source blue box recycling program update. There has been lots is happening with this, and again, we've had some news and a bit of a breakthrough since writing this report. As of Friday, I was in a long conversation with Waste Connections, and Waste Connections will be opening up their transfer station site on County Road 6, which is in somewhat decent proximity to our township, for IC&I non-eligible recycling. So that is great news for us that there is now a location, because at first we weren't even sure where the non-eligible IC&I was going. We thought maybe it'll go down to Pilot Road, but that wasn't even confirmed. It's still the plan, but still not 100% confirmed yet. But Waste Connections has confirmed that they will be going after that IC&I recycling market, and they will be providing access at the County Road 6 site for North Kawartha IC&I customers. So that is great news. It then comes back to, do we want to put bins in our site for IC&I recycling in short of anything else happening from the producers, or the pros. And a pro would be like Circular Materials. Again, a pro acts on behalf of the producers. For IC&I recycling, at first we looked at using the 8-yard bins, which is currently used for recycling. But then after looking at that, the contractors got back to me and said, you know what? After we looked at that, and townships that were willing to purchase their own bins, we don't think that that's a good solution, because we couldn't share the bins, around the sites. We would have to come pick up your bin specifically, take it down, dump it, and return it to your site. It's not like your bin could go to another site. So when they started to think about, again, all the logistics that come around to, not being able to pick up the recycling on a milk run like they currently do, not being able to share the bins like they currently do. Some of the logistics get to be a little bit, fuddled. So, they then said, well, maybe we put 40-yard open top roll-off bins in your site for IC&I recycling. And now that seems a little overkill, you know, we have these big, enormous 40-yard bins in our site, you know, to collect cardboard and containers. But to them, it makes the most sense because A, you reduce the number of trips. B, bins can be shared. You know, it doesn't matter whether we get you know, our bin comes to us and then goes somewhere else because again, they supply the bins. But of course it, you know, space becomes an issue. Then you have the whole winter months in there because, you know, you've got this open top bin and, you know, filled with snow and rain and everything else. So it's, you know, we've still got a couple things to work out. I'll be honest, not all townships actually know what they're doing right now. We were trying to take a little bit of a survey on Monday to see where everybody's at. And nobody's really made any hard and fast decisions yet. A couple townships that don't have, you know, a place like County Road 6 in close proximity to their township are thinking that they're going to have to put bins in their site for IC&I recycling. But again, you know, what type of bin? It looks like they could be a 40-yard bin. And then of course, so for us, although if we went with the 40-yard bin in the sites, we may not have the initial upfront capital cost as the report talked about for the 8-yard bins. Because for the 8-yard bins, we'd be looking at least $16,000 up front just for the bins themselves. But then you've also got the transportation and the tipping costs. And that's going to average around $4.50 a bin per trip. So, I mean, even if we had, you know, 2 40-yard bins in each site, so you got one for fiber, you got one for containers in Anstruther, one for fiber, one for containers in Haltane. And even if you collected those just once a month, you know, that's still going to probably add up to about $23,000 at the end of the year. So there's still a large cost associated with doing this that we're not going to be able to recoup. You know, that'll be a township cost. So again, we may not have the upfront capital cost, but we'll certainly have the ongoing operating expense associated with that. So currently we've IC&I customers, and that includes us. Like that you know, make it clear that includes the township as well. I mean, our municipal office, community centers, libraries. I mean, that's, you know, that includes us. We'll have to you know, currently take our recycling down to County Road 6. We have a bit of a plan that we can use. We can collect it and store it and take it down there you know, as we need to. Or again, you know, the last resort would be to put big 40-yard bins in our site until another solution, you know, is brought forth either through the pros or the province, which I'm still not, I still think that a lot of people still don't understand what's happening here. And the mayor shared a wonderful video on CBC last week that talked about, you know, when it comes to curbside, when those small businesses in January put their recycling out at the curb, and then all of a sudden they find that it doesn't get picked up and it's covered in a snowbank and everything else in January. I see there being a little bit of chaos in some bigger areas than North Kawartha, that's for sure. So I wanted to put this on there so we can have an open discussion and receive some direction as to what the council's wishes are moving forward.
Okay, thanks for that, Gary. Jim starts off.
Thanks, Gary. At the meeting we were at last Thursday or Friday, whatever day it was, the Trent Lake said they were just gonna put a bin in their transfer station or waste site or whatever it is. But I really like your idea of the 40-yard bin paid for by somebody else and picked up. Don't listen, this is gonna cost us some money. If we're gonna do anything here, it's gonna cost money. Now, the county came forward with that thing for $800,000. Our share of that is a little over 10%, so a little over $80,000. You know, so 26,000. Yeah, it's a tough hit on the budget and so on and so forth, but we gotta do something for these people. We can't leave them hanging like this. And I don't want the phone calls on January 1st. I'm gonna put a thing on my phone that says call Jerry Giraldi, but
No, call Ford.
if you've got a better idea, I'd okay the 26,000 today, because that's gonna be a cheap way to get through this until this thing gets settled out.
Okay, so I don't think it's the 26,000. Yeah, it was, well, no, it was 23,000 would be an annual cost if you go with the 40 yards, right, Gary? Go ahead.
So if I may,
Yeah.
and again, this all came, after the writing of this report, because like I say, it's, things are happening every single day. So as of Friday, we considered the best solution currently right now until another better solution comes forth is to put bins like a 40-yard bin in the site that is large enough that it doesn't have to be picked up every week, because that reduces our operating costs. And if that was picked up once a month, and let's face it, it might be less than once a month. I mean, when I think about 2 40-yard IC&I bins sitting down at Haltane, I don't think they're going to fill monthly. I think it'll be a couple of months before we have to transport those. The summertime is obviously going to be busier, but if we collected 4 40-yard bins on a monthly basis, we're looking at about 23,000 a year.
Right. Okay, and the beauty of this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gary, because there's still a lot of lobbying that's going on. Like I sent you that interview that was on CBC, but you'll see there's more resolutions coming forward. We've got a notice of motion tomorrow at County Council because of, nonprofit organizations like food banks and different things that, like, they're caught in this. They're considered non-eligible, and I mean, they can't take that kind of a hit of suddenly having to hire a contractor to collect all the cardboard and all of the recycling. So there still could be changes, and I think with your suggestion, it sounds like, I mean, it's not a do or die thing, right? Like, I mean, we can focus on, this could be a solution for us, but if it works out that the province is gonna take it back over or whatever, right? We're not kind of stuck with having purchased outright a bunch of bins that we don't need.
That's a very good point. And not just us, but contractors the same. I mean, the contractors were saying, okay, well, if we go out and purchase the 8-yard bins, because the front load ones, that's what we use for recycling, and that's exactly what I originally alluded to in this report. And then if there is a solution that's brought forward, either we're stuck with the 8-yard bins that we just purchased, or the contractors are stuck with a bunch of 8-yard bins that they just purchased. But larger roll-off bins can be used for anything, whether it's leaf and yard, scrap metal, C&D, or garbage. I mean, again, we use the closed top for garbage, but the roll-off bins are much more versatile, where the 8-yard bins tend to have specific use.
Okay. All right, so anybody else? Questions or comments? So you just want direction from us to, I guess, maybe include this in our budget deliberations, potentially that annual amount, right?
Yeah, I would say that that's all we need for right now, because if this is an approach that we want to take, and if it's council's wish that we do something, and that this is the approach, we don't necessarily need to make an operational decision today.
Right.
We can wait to see, what else comes forth. You very well could find me back here in 2 weeks from now, with another solution but this certainly provides us, where we are all thinking collectively together. So I do appreciate that.
Okay, Colin.
Yeah, do we know how many non-eligible properties we have in North Kawartha?
I believe it was, I want to say 500. That includes like institutional, you know, businesses, everything else. But that again, you know, could be an exaggerated figure on how many actually use the service.
Anyway, oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, I think it's like, I wanna say like, it was over 4,000, I wanna say like 4,500,
4,700.
or in the entire county.
That's for the county though. Yeah, that's for the
exactly,
county.
yeah.
That's
Just
for
to
the
kind of
county.
say like, so with 500 being in North Forth, it isn't necessarily that out of whack when it's 4,700 around, but, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
And I'm interested in spending the money to support the businesses. By the time that all of them individually find out how they're gonna handle it, it would cost way more than the $28,000, $23,000 for the roll-off bins. But even just general, and I know I've vented about this before, but I just want to point out how insane this is, that we're having to spend more money for something that has no improvement to the recycling system, no improvement. Actually, it's a sort of decline in service for the business owners, no improvement for the ratepayers. This is just money being spent to complicate a system.
And the spirit of this whole change was, you know, the producers should be responsible, but yet they're got a whole bunch of outs. Like, we are still being responsible for some of this, you know, the business owners, and you know, we're coming up with solutions to try to support them. Like, it just flies in the face of, you know, the whole reason, you know, the province went this direction in the first place. So anyway, it's still, like I said, lobbying is ongoing. We're still continuing with it. But I appreciate that you bringing the updates, and hopefully you get more good news updates as we go on. Jim?
Gary, how much time would they need to start this on January 1st? They surely, you know, we can't leave it till December 24th, or whatever the last date of the meeting is, to make a decision.
No, I would, I'll be making some calls, of course, today and tomorrow to put a couple ducks in the row, Deputy Mayor, but, you know, I'm sure that, if there's no advancement within the next 30 days, we're probably gonna have to pull the trigger.
Okay. All right, so then I guess I'm looking for a motion that we receive Gary's report and further direct staff to include costs for the 40-yard bins for the IC&I non-eligible recycling. Or what do you want, Gary? Tell me what you want.
I would say everything you just said, but let's not specify the type of bin in case we have
Okay.
another solution. But really what I'm looking for is that in the spirit that council wants staff to include costs for IC&I recycling in 2026 budget.
Perfect. Connie, did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. So who's gonna make that motion? Colin will make it and Jim O'Shea will second it. All those in favor? That's approved. Thanks, Gary. Good
Well,
work.
you're the best. Thank you so much.
All right.
Is that it?
Take care. That's it.
I believe that's
You're
it.
good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a nice day, everybody.
All right,
You
we'll
too.
see ya. Administration staff reports. We have a couple up. We have the Christmas luncheon. Who's doing this? I didn't even open it up yet. That's Kelly. Yeah, Kelly, of course. The woman responsible for the elf on the shelf shenanigans. Go ahead, Kelly.
Just bringing a report to council requesting, for the office to close on Friday, December 12th from 12 until 2 to allow us to partake in our annual Christmas staff luncheon at the NKCC.
Woohoo. All right.
I don't think that's fair. We can't leave the office closed.
Humbug. So, anybody else?
The
Oh,
recommendation.
okay, he's gonna move it. Ebenezer is gonna move it. Okay, Jim, seconded by Ruth Ann. All those in favor? We are approving the Christmas lunch for the township. Okay. And the next item we have is, must be Edward, because he's getting up and coming up to the front. Yes, it is. Good morning, Edward, and tell us about the Apsley Downtown Visitor Survey.
Good morning. So this survey, this is a summary of the data collected between June and September by myself through in-person surveys in Apsley. So I think it's the first kind of this survey taken in the township in this format. Although I believe that there's a great place for online surveys. I feel that sometimes, especially with this type of questionnaire and information gathering, that an in-person type survey collection allows for opportunities for to collect, information both about the questions, but to expand and have those additional conversations with the visitors and residents of the community. I won't go through everything line by line, but I will say as a result of this, some of the information will feed into recommendations for changes to the community improvement plan that I'll be bringing to our CIP committee meeting this month. I think some of the information will feed into the activities that I'm undertaking with the holiday hop-in activities in 2026, including testing new marketing options for events that are happening in the community. As well, depending on how time and things work, maybe look at an additional type of survey in 2026 as we continue to make changes and improvements in the downtown. I think there's some really good things that came about it in terms of, strengths for the community, the friendliness and safeness, look and feel. That was pretty much across the board on that. I think some of the challenges brought out, there's some that the municipality can look at, and we've already started in terms of signage and things like that. Ones that involve the, private businesses in terms of store hours and product availability. It's something that can be discussed with the businesses, but again, it's something that, but I think it is information that someone might want to look at in terms of, especially the store hours was one that came up numerous times, especially on Sundays in the summer for the visitors that were there. Some parking as well, the sidewalks that will also be informed with our discussions with the county in terms of looking at sidewalk and parking improvements. And the bike ATV questions, there was a fair amount of unsure responses with that. Part of it was that a lot of the respondents weren't, bikers or ATVers themselves. But those that were an interesting discussion with them that were bikes, that there were specifically two groups of, that I would say road bike users, and then there were people that were asking about mountain biking trails, which wasn't something that really was on my radar until they started asking about. So, but questions from council about the information that's in here, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, all right, anyone?
I've thought very often too about the hours. I can't believe that people are closed when it's so busy. But I'm not running the businesses, so that's this is very good. It's hard with only that number of people, so to get a real cross section, but it's a heck of a start, and you can go from there and know that that maybe next time I'll get more than 48 responses, or have time to get more than 48 responses, but it all takes time, man. So depends on how much time you got in your hands to do it.
That's it. Yeah, there's the time aspect. Yeah, in terms of, and I feel that that in person allowed for additional expansion on those questions and hear those concerns that if it was an online. And the other thing with the online, I think some people said, and I see it myself, that they feel there's almost every website they visit, they say there's a survey to fill, to fill out. Whereas if somebody approaches them in person, they actually feel like, oh, this might be an option, to have a different type of discussion and have my feedback heard versus the online ones that there's sometimes maybe a feeling of saturation of online surveys.
Yeah, one of the things though, I think, there were not really any surprises like that popped out. So like it's consistent to the things that we hear, on a day-to-day basis from community members as well too. So it's sort of, it can help sort of to inform if we want to get into more specific surveys that are online or whatever, but I think, I was looking at it too and thinking, okay, here's the things that we can address as the township. But yeah, you're right, there are things that businesses, and it's up to them. I'm a small business owner too, and the challenges and the struggles with labor and establishing hours and being in a seasonal economy. And I know people would love to have lots of restaurants and things open all year round and stuff, but it's hard, it's really hard, you know, when you don't have that cash flow. You know, what things that we can do to support, you know, it's like the work we're doing on looking at more year-round stuff and, you know, that kind of thing, I think, you know, would help too. And as far as, you know, that we are working on those things, like looking at the sidewalks, we know with the reconstruction, you know, it's gonna be happening with the roads to kind of incorporate some of those things in it, so, but still, I think it's great information. And, you know, we can certainly, utilize it. Are you thinking about, on this same vein, I was gonna ask you about that, so we're kind of hitting up just people in town, right? And, you know, during the summertime, but what about things like, you know, having the same kind of thing, but we've talked about before, the in-person, having a meeting with the business owners, having a meeting specifically with the contractors, you know, different sort of, you know, segments of our community, right? To get some really kind of focused, feedback on, you know, particular, you know, challenges or opportunities that those groups are facing. What are your thoughts?
I think we are planning the roundtable with the contractors and builders. With this, we did host the tourism roundtable this year.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think we'll have the discussion with the county about doing another one and having this type of information that I think can be a discussion point during those roundtable discussions with the tourism and operators in the community. And in those service, you know, retailers are also servicing as a destination here that information about some of those concerns. And to your point, there's the challenge of hours, but at the same time, labor and those overhead costs, especially you know, with the seasonal economy as well, are factors into that, this, you know, decision making for small businesses.
Yeah, exactly. Anybody else? Questions or comments? All right, well, the recommendation is that just to receive the report. Can I have a mover then for that? Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? That's received. Thanks, Edward.
Thanks.
Good info. Thanks. I look forward to meeting with more people and finding out more stuff. Okay. All right, and with that, we're on to reports from boards and committees. Short-term rental advisory committee meeting. The minutes are there. Motion.
Just like to make a comment.
Sure.
I think your definition is fantastic. That's well thought out definition. That's all. I make a motion to receive the minutes, but just wanted to make a comment on that.
So noted. Seconder for that, please. Seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? Those minutes have been received, and a motion to receive the North Kawartha Public Library Board minutes from September. Once moved by Colin, seconded by Jim Whalen. All those in favor? That is received as well, and we don't have any new or unfinished business or correspondence, so I need a motion for us to go into closed session. Pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act, we are going into close to discuss personal matters, but identify individuals, specifically to talk about compensation and pay equity review and succession planning. So moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by somebody, Jim Whalen. All those in favor? We're going into close. Thank you.
Somebody,
You're somebody.
anybody.
Special.